Rocky Top Wrestling Drunken Wrestling Review, where we are reviewing the Royal Rumbles. That's right, Royal Rumbles number 1 all the way up to number, 28, I believe is what this year's is, because there's 27 Rumbles to go. I'm on number 7, so let's jump right into it. Number 7 Royal Rumble. You've got the commentating team of Vince McMahon and the Million Dollar Man. Million Dollar Man, I'll tell you right away, much better in the ring than he was on the microphone at the commentator's table, which it seems like we've seen a couple of those throughout this series so far. Roddy Piper, of course, being the big one. Jesse Ventura really added a lot to the Rumbles, where I don't think Vince has found another person to add to his team yet. This Royal Rumble, I watched a little bit of the actual pay-per-view itself. Apparently, 10 other wrestlers killed The Undertaker in a casket match they had with Yokozuna. That was spooky stupid, I think is what the internet used to call it. Did that with The Undertaker. He left, and then he ended up on the video screen, and then his spirit flew away as Paul Bearer caught it in the urn. Yeah, so that's the WWE in 1994. This Royal Rumble, they say, just as it gets getting ready to start, Vince McMahon points out that Jack Tunney, for time restraints, has cut the time down from 2 minutes to 90 seconds between entrances. So that was a first for the Royal Rumble. I like looking at the tag teams that are entering. This one actually had 3 tag teams that were in the ring at the same time. Men on a Mission were in there at the exact same time, so that was one. The other one was the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott Steiner. And then the third tag team, I'm just kidding about, but the third tag team, the Rockers, were in there at the same time, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. And of course, by 1994, the Rockers had already turned against one another. Shawn Michaels putting Marty Jannetty through the plate glass window at Brutus Beefcake's barbershop. So that was already done, but those two were in there as well, and of course fought pretty hard against each other. First two that were in the ring were Scott Steiner and Sabu of the Head Shrinkers. Samu of the Head Shrinkers. I don't know why I always want to say Sabu, the Head Shrinkers, but yeah. So Scott Steiner and Samu were the first two that were inside the ring. The clock. This is the first time that I've seen a sponsor for the countdown clock as well. So Casio's name pops up every time the countdown clock pops up. Rick Steiner enters as number 3. So Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner in there together at the same time against Samu of the Head Shrinkers. Kind of unique because you don't usually see the two faces against the heel. If it's anything, it's usually 2 heels against a face. So Rick Steiner was number 3, and then a guy named Quang was number 4. Quang. He comes in other Royal Rumbles also later on, but I had never seen him, and to be honest, I had no idea who he was. And I still don't know who he was because I didn't look him up because he wasn't that interesting. Let's see. As the Royal Rumble was going on, it was kind of interesting. Vince McMahon says the camera needs to break away because there's trouble in the back. So there's something going on in the back of the building that's more important than actually what's going on in the Royal Rumble itself. So that kind of took away from the event as well. I thought that was a weird angle for Vince to want to take things away from the ring to the back. I can understand when, Monday Night Raw on the TV shows when you do that, but not during the Royal Rumble on the pay-per-view called the Royal Rumble. But anyway, when they do go to the back, it's Lex Luger getting beat down by a bunch of guys that I didn't recognize. Later on, it was pointed out it is the great Kabuki, who, he's like 100 years old at that point in time. And the Quang guy was back there originally, and he was beating up Luger. Apparently, it was earlier on. So, again, it was earlier on attack. I don't know why they chose or why Vince would think that you need to go to it right now during the middle of the Royal Rumble. But anyway, back to the Rumble. Diesel came in. That was his debut in the Royal Rumble. Of course, that's Kevin Nash. He eliminated all 4 guys that were inside the ring, so he was there by himself. Bob Backlund came out next when Diesel was in the ring by himself. Diesel was able to eliminate Bob Backlund. Who else? Then Billy Gunn came in. This is not DX Billy Gunn. This is not the New Age Outlaw Billy Gunn. This is not Mr. ASS Billy Gunn. This is Billy Gunn with a cowboy gimmick from the Smoking Guns tag team. So he's in and he's out really quick. Virgil comes in right after that. The commentators point out that Virgil's in there as a substitution for Kamala. He's in there, and he's out of there. That's just how quick that is. And then Savage came out next, Jeff Jarrett, and then Crush. So it's kind of funny. Virgil, Savage, Double A, Jeff Jarrett, and Crush, all four came out in a row. And, of course, by 1995, they were all in the WCW and were all members of the NWO at that point in time. Mabel came out. When Mabel came out, of course, he was part of Men on a Mission. He came out, and the fans started chanting, "Whoop, there it is." That's kind of funny to me. 1994 was the year I graduated high school, and Tag Team, the group that originally started singing "Whoop, there it is," they actually performed at our grad night at Disney World. So, "Whoop, there it is" for Mabel. Sparky Plug, which is, of course, Bob Holly in later years, Hardcore Holly. He came in, and they pointed out that he was substituting for X-Pac. Not sure why there's so many substitutions going on in this Royal Rumble, and why, more importantly, that Vince is even pointing it out. Vince sells him as having a chance, that Sparky Plug has a chance to win this Royal Rumble. The $1 Million Man laughs it off in pretty much a shoot and says there's no chance that he would win this thing. So if you listen to the commentary, it's kind of interesting because, Vince is definitely kayfabe, but the $1 Million Man definitely sounds like he's shooting on Hardcore Holly, Bob Holly, Sparky Plug at this time, that there's no chance that he would be the headliner for WrestleMania, which he never was. HBK helps everyone come in, or when he comes in, everybody's trying to eliminate Diesel at that point in time. HBK and Diesel, of course, are partners at this time, and HBK comes up from behind and helps everybody eliminate Diesel. So that starts setting up some future matches. Vince, a direct quote, "Tatanka, you let he is going to straight." Okay. As Tatanka's entering, okay, let me paint the picture here. I'm trying to read my notes. Sorry. As Tatanka's entering, Vince points out Tatanka will. You bet he is going to go straight after Bam Bam. And of course, instead of attacking Bam Bam, Tatanka went after HBK. So Vince finishes his quote by saying, "and everyone else." So Tatanka, you bet, will be going after Bam Bam and everyone else. So, yeah, good strategy there, Vince. Yeah, good call. He's definitely going to go after Bam Bam and everybody else because there's no friends in the Royal Rumble. So, good job. Great Kabuki enters later on, and also a guy named Tenryu. Again, two Japanese stars. I had no idea who Tenryu was. Great Kabuki I recognized from World Class Championship Wrestling way back when, so he had to be 1,000 years old. Bam Bam Bigelow was out there and heavily gassed. You could tell Bam Bam was sucking wind. It was pretty bad for him. He was definitely blown up while he was out there. There was a spot where they're looking for an entry. The music, the clock goes down to 0. Nobody comes out. Vince sells that as that was Bret's spot. Bret must be too hurt to come out. But later on, it's actually said that was Bastion Booger's spot, and Bastion Booger got sick and wasn't able to attend the Royal Rumble. Bret does enter 2 spots later after that spot where Vince had sold that it was his spot. And Vince is kind of dumbfounded and quiet on the microphone for a second because I don't think he realizes what's going on. The last 4 in the ring was HBK, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Lex Luger, and Rikishi. I don't remember what Rikishi's. I think his gimmick was the headbang or head. What is it? I'm looking through the notes. Head shrinkers. He's a head shrinker back then. So HBK and Rikishi are both eliminated at the same time. And then right after that spot, Bret Hart and Lex Luger are both eliminated at the same time. So it was kind of weird that they did that with the last 4. The 2 guys that didn't win ended up being eliminated at the same time, and then Bret Hart and Lex Luger doing their famous being eliminated at the same time. Amazingly, there was no cameras over there to see the angle of whose foot hit first, but they showed 3 different angles, none of them showing their feet. As Bret Hart and Lex Luger are your co-winners of this Royal Rumble event, both of them going to WrestleMania, both of them getting a chance at the WWF World Heavyweight Championship.
All right, everybody, once again, we want to thank you for listening to Rocky Top Wrestling Drunken Wrestling Review, where we're reviewing the Royal Rumbles right now. Please follow us on Twitter at rTw, DRUNKN review, I think. Also, just check the screen. We'll put a graphic up there and tell you where the exact Twitter address is. But we've also got a Facebook page now. Lots and lots of likes are going on there. So if you could please like us on Facebook, as well as share that Facebook page so all your friends can like us as well. And please, again, subscribe to our channel on YouTube channel, rTw Drunken Wrestling Review. We do appreciate all the subscriptions, and all those graphics will be popping up on the screen as I'm saying them, as well as you can see it all on our Facebook page. So again, thank you everybody for listening. We will be back real soon with another Royal Rumble review, and we've also still got a continuation of the Cody Isis interview. So please stay tuned. Lots of good things to come. Hopefully we're getting better. Give us some comments, give us some feedback, give us some likes, some dislikes. Tell us whatever you want. Just tell us something. We do appreciate you listening. Have a great night.